Have you ever wondered what truly lies at the heart of inner wellness, hidden beneath layers of daily routine and unspoken thoughts? Many search for peace and fulfillment, yet few understand how self-reflection is the gateway to lasting transformation. In this book, you will discover the untapped power within yourself through a journey of intentional self-exploration. Each page invites you deeper into your own awareness, where clarity and balance await those willing to look within. Are you ready to uncover the path to your own well-being? Self-Journey, Mapping the Road to Inner Wellness, written and published by Awaken Vision. Chapter 1. Have you ever felt like something vital is missing in your daily routine, as if life is drifting by on autopilot without real excitement or passion? Many of us wake each morning and slide through our days caught in the currents of obligation and habit. The motivation that once pushed us seems faded, replaced by a sense of going through the motions. There is a quiet ache, a restlessness that whispers in quiet moments or during sleepless nights, asking if there isn't something more meaningful just beneath the surface. You might pass a mirror or pause during your routine, feeling a faint but persistent question growing louder. Where did your fire go? It is easy to discount these moments as fleeting moods, but they signal something deeper: the need to reconnect with the inner spark that makes life truly worth living. This inner flame is what fuels our dreams, drives creativity, and brings a sense of fulfillment that cannot be found by simply ticking tasks off a list. Imagine looking back at your days and realizing they have blurred together, each one a colorless copy of the last. That is the danger we face when we neglect to kindle our own passion and purpose. The challenge lies in recognizing this slow dimming of your spirit before it becomes your new normal, escaping the inertia that comes from living without intent. Perhaps there was a time you felt unstoppable, motivated by ambitions or hopes that now seem distant. You may recall the first excitement of starting a new job, making a new friend, or setting a big goal for yourself. Moments when the world seemed open with possibility. But as routines harden and responsibilities pile up, these moments of fire are often buried beneath stress or self-doubt, lost in the noise of busy days. As a result, you may catch yourself scrolling endlessly through your phone, drifting between television channels, or losing hours to habits that numb rather than nourish your spirit. You recognize the feeling but aren't sure how to reclaim the energy that once pushed you forward. Understanding this problem is not just important, it is essential. Failing to ignite your inner flame can leave you feeling empty and disconnected, robbing you of the vitality that makes goals more than just distant dreams. It can leave relationships stale, creativity unexplored, and opportunities lost before they even arise. The absence of genuine motivation creates spaces where anxiety and dissatisfaction thrive, quietly making you believe that good enough is all there is. Yet nobody is immune to these seasons of stagnation, and that is the most relatable truth. It does not matter your background, age, or achievements. Everyone encounters periods where their passion flickers and hope seems dim. What separates those who thrive from those who merely exist is a willingness to examine this emptiness, to ask difficult questions, and ultimately to make a conscious decision to reignite their inner fire. This book and this chapter are your companions in making that choice. Your next leap forward begins with recognizing that the power to change your life starts small. With the decision to rediscover and reignite what is already alive within you. The solution to reigniting your inner flame begins with self-reflection, a simple but profoundly powerful practice that allows you to pause, turn inward, and notice what truly matters to you. Self-reflection is not just about thinking deeply or analyzing your behavior. It is about fostering a deeper connection with yourself. When you give yourself the space and time to examine what inspires you, what stirs your excitement, and what drains your energy, you begin to gather the essential sparks needed to revive your sense of purpose. It is like lighting a candle in a dark room, gradually allowing warmth and light to return to spaces neglected by exhaustion, repetition, or disappointment. There is no need for grand gestures or dramatic changes at first. Instead, self-reflection works gently, offering small glimpses of your authentic motives and forgotten ambitions, quietly inviting you, to nurture what drives you at your core. This solution works because it creates awareness. Research in positive psychology and personal development has shown that self-awareness is linked to greater satisfaction, resilience, and well-being. When you consistently tune in to your feelings and desires, patterns start to emerge, helping you understand what brings you happiness and what pulls you away from it. For example, journaling for just a few minutes a day about your experiences and emotions has been shown to reduce stress and increase overall life satisfaction. The simple act of writing down what matters to you can illuminate your values, clarify your goals, and identify areas where change is needed. By acknowledging both your struggles and your strengths, you slowly shift from feeling powerless to feeling empowered and prepared to make purposeful changes. As you practice self-reflection, you allow yourself to be honest without judgment. This honesty is the soil in which your inner flame can grow. You begin to accept your experiences and feelings as valid, even if they are uncomfortable or confusing. In this accepting state, you create room for growth and learning, which naturally fuels excitement and possibility. Over time, this gentle honesty leads to insights and choices that are authentic to who you are, rather than shaped only by outside expectations or past disappointments. You are able to see which parts of your day drain you and which parts uplift you, making it easier to focus your energy on activities and relationships that nurture your spirit. Embarking on the journey of self-reflection is beneficial because it places the power of change directly in your own hands. Instead of waiting for inspiration to strike from an outside source or for your circumstances to magically shift, you begin to build a foundation of self-trust and understanding. This growing self-knowledge acts as fuel for your motivation, making it easier to pursue what excites you, to recover from setbacks, and to welcome new opportunities with open arms. The beauty of self-reflection is that it is available to everyone at any point in life. Regardless of your current challenges or how far you feel from your goals, you possess the ability to tap into your inner resources and spark real transformation. Step by step, as you make time to look within, your inner flame grows stronger, ready to illuminate the bold path that lies ahead. Embracing self-reflection as a regular practice can spark extraordinary benefits in every area of your life. One of the most immediate outcomes is a heightened sense of clarity and direction. When you consistently check in with yourself, doubts and confusion begin to fade, replaced by an increasing certainty about who you are and what you genuinely want. This internal alignment translates powerfully into motivation, resilience, and confidence, fueling not just your ambitions, but also your relationships and daily routines. The energy that comes from this inner flame is regenerative, giving you the momentum to move through life's challenges with a sense of purpose and possibility. You notice opportunities that once went unseen, make decisions with greater assurance, and recover from setbacks more quickly because you know what lights you up from within. Relationship dynamics improve as you communicate more authentically, work becomes more fulfilling because you are guided by your passions, and even the simplest routines feel meaningful as you choose how to spend your time with intention. To bring this powerful habit into your daily life, begin by carving out just a few quiet moments for reflection each day. Sit with a journal or even just your thoughts and ask yourself honest questions. What energized me today? What drained me? What am I longing for at this moment? Writing down your thoughts, no matter how messy or incomplete they seem, helps solidify insights and track progress over time. You might also reflect at the end of each week, noting any patterns in what brings you joy or stress. Another effective tip is to take brief reflection breaks during the day, perhaps pausing before important decisions or after emotionally charged moments. This pause not only reduces impulsive reactions, but also boosts your capacity for empathy and understanding in challenging interactions. Bringing curiosity rather than judgment to the process makes it easier to welcome whatever you find, using setbacks as signals for adjustment instead of reasons to give up. Practical examples can bring this process to life. Imagine feeling stuck at work and not knowing whether to stay or look for something new. By dedicating regular time to self-reflection, you start to notice which parts of the job excite you and which leave you drained. Over a few weeks, patterns emerge. Maybe you thrive in creative assignments, but feel depleted by repetitive administrative tasks. With this information, you can start crafting your path forward, seeking out more projects that align with your strengths, or even considering new opportunities elsewhere, feeling empowered by what you have learned about yourself. In your personal life, reflective practices can deepen relationships. If a friendship feels tense, pausing to ask yourself what you need and want from the connection, or what patterns might be contributing to the tension, can help you approach conversations with more empathy and honesty. For study or personal growth, regular check-ins let you tweak habits and routines, gradually developing a learning strategy that keeps you motivated and inspired. No matter how busy or uncertain life becomes, building self-reflection into your routine is fully achievable with small, consistent efforts. Remember, great transformations don't happen overnight. Each honest moment you spend with yourself is a victory. Every time you choose to reflect, rather than simply react, you take a step closer to your own unique light. The challenges you encounter along the way are not roadblocks but opportunities. Moments to learn, adjust, and continue growing stronger. Celebrate your progress, however gradual, knowing that every single step plants seeds for a brighter, more passionate future. As you embrace the transformative power of self-reflection, you're not just overcoming stagnation, you're setting up conditions for a lifetime of growth and fulfillment. In the forthcoming chapter, you will learn how to rewire your thoughts and channel them toward positivity, an essential pillar in building a truly energized and hopeful mindset. Look ahead with optimism, knowing you possess the ability to spark real change from within. If you found value in this chapter, remember to subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel, like this video, and share your thoughts or suggestions in the comments to join a community dedicated to personal growth and lasting happiness. Chapter 2. Have you ever caught yourself trapped in a cycle of negative thinking, unable to shake off doubts or worries no matter how hard you try? You might wake up feeling anxious about the day ahead, immediately recalling everything that could go wrong. Sometimes a single setback, mistake, or piece of criticism echoes in your mind for hours, pushing aside any positive thoughts or confidence you once had. Even when something good happens, you may find yourself minimizing it or waiting for the other shoe to drop. This cycle of negative thinking can be exhausting. It casts a shadow over your mood, your decisions, and even your relationships, often leaving you feeling powerless or weighed down by your own mind. Understanding this challenge is crucial because the way you think shapes the reality you experience. When your mental habits lean toward negativity, the world around you begins to look darker and more threatening than it truly is. Opportunities start to shrink away, hope seems distant, and even everyday challenges can feel overwhelming. Over time, negative thought patterns can slowly erode your motivation and self-esteem, making it hard to feel excited about the future or to trust your own potential. Everyone struggles with negative thoughts sometimes, but when they become a routine part of your thinking, they can quietly limit almost every aspect of your life: your work, friendships, creativity, and even health. Consider the story of a person who works diligently at their job but still doubts whether they are truly valuable to their team. One day, their boss points out a small error on a report. Instantly, all their previous achievements seem to fade and their thoughts spiral. I always mess things up. Maybe I'm just not good enough. What if I lose my job? Within hours, their mood has plummeted. Though others compliment their hard work, the one criticism is all that sticks in their mind. This pattern is familiar to so many of us. A single negative thought grows, taking up so much space that it is hard to see anything else clearly. These cycles are not just personal weaknesses. They are reinforced by years of experience and sometimes even by the people around us. Perhaps in school you were told to be realistic whenever you dreamed big, or you overheard adults worry constantly about failure, money, or what others think. Over the years, these outside influences seep into your unconscious and create automatic patterns in your thinking. The mind is powerful and habitual by nature. This means that if you practice a certain way of thinking, no matter how negative, your brain becomes very good at repeating it. The problem is not that you have negative thoughts, but that they gain control and shape the way you respond to life's ups and downs. Recognizing how these patterns form is the first step in changing them. The vibrant energy that comes from positive thinking is available to anyone willing to challenge these old mental habits. No matter how long you have been stuck in negativity, it is never too late to rewrite the story in your mind and open up to a new, hopeful perspective. In the next part of this chapter, you will discover how to rewire your thoughts into patterns that serve not just survival, but real happiness. Transforming negative thought patterns into positive ones is entirely possible with practice and patience, and it all starts with learning to become aware of your own inner narrative. The solution is to gradually train your mind to catch negative thoughts when they arise. Gently challenge them and replace them with perspectives rooted in positivity, possibility, and truth. This practice is commonly known as cognitive reframing, and it is backed by a great deal of psychological research. Cognitive reframing works by teaching your brain to question automatic negative beliefs and look for alternative, more supportive explanations. For example, if you make a mistake at work and your first thought is, "I always fail," reframing would encourage you to pause and ask, "Is this really true? What have I done well today?" Slowly, this method shifts your mental habits from critic to coach. This tool is effective because our brains are wired to respond to repeated signals. Neurological studies show that the more a particular pathway in your brain is used, the stronger it becomes. When you feed your mind a steady diet of negative self-talk, you reinforce a pattern that makes it easier and faster for those thoughts to appear in the future. However, when you consciously interrupt this pattern and insert positive, realistic thoughts, you begin forming new neural pathways. Over time, your mind learns to default to these healthier ways of thinking, and positivity starts to come more naturally. This process also supports emotional regulation, reducing anxiety, stress, and feelings of helplessness. Furthermore, positive thinking does not mean ignoring reality. It's about choosing to focus on solutions, strengths, and learning opportunities in every situation. One reason cognitive reframing and positive thinking are so beneficial is because they put you back in control of your experience. Rather than feeling like a victim of your circumstances or overshadowed by your weaknesses, you gain the power to shape your response. You become resilient in the face of setback, able to spot opportunities in failures, and more at ease with your imperfections. This shift improves not just your thoughts, but also your mood and actions, potentially transforming relationships, work outcomes, and even your physical health. Research links positive thinking with increased well-being, longer lifespans, and lower rates of depression and illness. When your view of life becomes more optimistic, you become a magnet for solutions and connections that move you forward. Making these changes in your thought patterns may feel challenging at first, especially if you have carried negative stories about yourself for years. Yet the benefits are far-reaching and lasting. This technique is not about pretending everything is perfect, but learning to step outside of mental ruts and trust that growth and good are always possible. Each time you challenge a negative thought or reframe a setback as a lesson, you build a more compassionate and hopeful relationship with yourself. Over days, weeks, and months, these moments of mental effort compound, allowing you to live more freely and purposefully. The practice of positive thinking is a source of quiet strength and lasting motivation that everyone can cultivate, no matter where they start or what challenges they face. When you consciously choose to rewire your thoughts for positivity, your entire outlook begins to transform. Over time, small shifts in how you perceive setbacks, respond to criticism, and talk to yourself compile to create a tidal wave of positive change. This change not only lifts your mood, but also expands your resilience, resourcefulness, and sense of hope. As positive thoughts become habits, you find it easier to bounce back from disappointment and approach new opportunities with openness rather than fear. Confidence naturally grows when you learn to cheer yourself on, and you develop a greater ability to see the good in others and the world around you. Work and study no longer feel like endless trials, but like platforms for progress and self-discovery, and even your relationships benefit from your more optimistic energy and supportive communication. To put this powerful shift into motion, begin by becoming aware of your inner voice without judgment. Notice the thoughts that cross your mind throughout the day, especially when you encounter stress or criticism. Each time you spot a negative or limiting belief, pause and gently question it. Ask yourself if you would say the same thing to a close friend or loved one. If the answer is no, offer yourself the same kindness and encouragement that you would give someone you care about. Next, take a few minutes at the end of each day to reflect on 3 positive things that happened, no matter how small. This daily exercise trains your mind to actively look for the good, even after a difficult day. You might write in a journal, record a voice note, or simply reflect quietly. Practicing gratitude alongside reframing negative thoughts is a proven way to enhance well-being and cement your progress. Real-life examples can be found in every corner of life. Consider a student who receives a lower grade than expected on a test. Instead of thinking, "I'll never get better at this," they pause and reflect. "This was a hard test, but I know where I struggled and can ask for help next time." Or imagine someone at work coping with a project setback. Instead of a harsh, "I'm incompetent," they counter with, "Everyone makes mistakes. What can I learn and try differently in the next round?" In relationships, you might catch yourself believing that "no one listens to me." But after reframing, you consider, "Perhaps I need to express my feelings differently or check in with others' needs too." These small mental adjustments eventually reshape interactions, goals, and overall happiness. No matter how long you've practiced negative self-talk, you have the ability to change the narrative through patient, repeated action. Small steps really do matter. A single moment of pausing to choose a kinder thought, a daily list of 3 things you appreciate, or a gentle reminder to yourself that progress, not perfection, is the goal. Over weeks and months, these small moments add up and become second nature, opening doors you never before imagined. When challenges arise, and they will, view them as valuable practice grounds for your new positive mindset. Each obstacle is a chance to reinforce your growth and prove your resilience to yourself. Looking ahead to the next chapter, you'll explore how to nurture resilience and gratitude, 2 vital ingredients that expand your inner strength and transform your sense of self-worth. These skills build on the habits of positive thinking, helping you sail through bigger storms with steadiness and heart. If this chapter inspired you, don't forget to subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel. Give the video a like and let us know your own reflections or suggestions in the comments. Engage with this journey. Your voice and growth matter deeply to this community. Chapter 3. What happens when life throws you a curveball that you never saw coming? An unexpected disappointment, a sudden loss, or a painful setback that shakes your confidence. No matter how much we try to plan ahead, everyone encounters challenges that make them question their strength. These difficult moments can leave you feeling stuck in frustration, regret, or even hopelessness. Struggling to bounce back after hardship is something everyone experiences. Yet, it often feels isolating somehow, as though you are the only one weighed down by misfortune, while others seem to move on without effort. This struggle can quietly eat away at your motivation, cloud your sense of purpose, and make even routine tasks seem overwhelming. The very act of trying to put on a brave face sometimes makes it harder, because you may believe there is something wrong with you for feeling overwhelmed. Understanding the challenges of resilience is vital, because without it, life's inevitable ups and downs can seem impossible to bear or recover from. Resilience is more than just bouncing back. It's about navigating life's storms with purpose, learning from disappointments, and cultivating the inner strength to try again, even when things don't go as planned. A lack of resilience can lead to cycles of fear and avoidance, where setbacks are seen as permanent failures rather than as temporary, navigable moments. It is easy to internalize hardship as evidence that you are incapable, which then dims your willingness to move forward. That is why learning the nature of resilience is not just helpful. It is necessary if you want to find lasting peace and momentum, no matter what challenges arise. Imagine the story of a student who puts all their effort into preparing for an important exam, only to receive a disappointing result. The blow of disappointment might lead them to think, "I'll never succeed, no matter how hard I try." If this student lacks resilience, these beliefs take root, and they may eventually give up, believing future efforts will lead only to more failure. Or consider the person who loses a job and cannot help but replay every mistake in their mind, losing sleep as self-doubt grows. It's easy to become stuck in feelings of anger or self-pity under these circumstances. Yet perhaps you've also seen stories of people who, in the face of tremendous setbacks, manage to keep moving forward, learning, and even finding joy in unexpected places. What sets these individuals apart is not luck, it's their ability to cultivate resilience and gratitude, even when life is toughest. Gratitude is just as important as resilience, and together, they form a powerful response to hardship. It may sound counterintuitive to seek out things to be thankful for during tough times, yet gratitude is the anchor that keeps your heart open to hope and possibility. It offers a way to reclaim control of your experience by focusing on the positives, even small ones, amid chaos or pain. This fundamental attitude does not dismiss your struggle. Instead, it gives you power to rise above it, nurturing a feeling of strength and abundance instead of lack and frustration. In the toughest chapters of your story, resilience and gratitude work hand in hand to lift you out of hopelessness and steer you back toward courage, learning, and joy. Building resilience and gratitude is a practical and proven way to overcome life's setbacks and regain motivation. The process starts by accepting that adversity is part of every journey, and from there, choosing how you respond. Resilience is not something you are simply born with. It is an attitude and skill that anyone can develop through small, intentional actions. One key part of this skill involves recognizing your emotions without letting them define your entire view. Instead of denying disappointment or pain, you acknowledge what happened and take time to feel those emotions, but you do not let them take over. This mindful acceptance gives you the space to process setbacks more clearly and prevents the spiral into hopelessness or victimhood. The power of gratitude works as a companion to resilience because it shifts your attention from what is lacking to what remains possible. Numerous studies in positive psychology have shown that routines like daily gratitude journaling can strengthen emotional fortitude and lift overall well-being. When you pause to write down even a few things you are thankful for, your brain begins to scan your day for positives, even on difficult days. Over time, this habit trains your mind to find silver linings, keeping hope alive in the midst of difficulty. This mental rewiring isn't about ignoring problems. It's about developing the mental flexibility to hold both challenges and positives together, which is what resilient people naturally do. Practice gratitude helps reduce stress and boosts mood because it interrupts negative rumination. If you have ever noticed how easy it is to replay problems over and over, you understand the tendency for the mind to focus on the negative. Expressing gratitude quiets this loop and replaces it with examples of support, growth, or small joys that you might otherwise overlook. Studies show that people who regularly practice gratitude and resilience are better able to manage anxiety, cope with loss, and recover from setbacks more quickly. Their confidence grows not just because life goes smoothly, but because they know they can face storms and emerge wiser and more compassionate. Another reason resilience and gratitude are so beneficial is that they restore a sense of agency. Instead of feeling at the mercy of fate or circumstance, you realize that your response, rather than the event itself, decides your next step. This realization alone can spark renewed confidence and hope. By greeting each challenge with honesty, naming what you feel, looking for what is still good, and refusing to let setbacks define your identity, you plant seeds for strength that grows stronger with every experience. The real advantage of this solution is the compounding effect over time. When you greet each hardship with the double tools of resilience and gratitude, you become more capable of meeting future obstacles, learning more from each twist and turn. You begin to measure progress not by what goes right, but by how quickly you can gather yourself, adapt, and spot something to be grateful for. Adopting these habits replaces bitterness with possibility, frustration with patience, and fear with the quiet knowing that you are stronger than any challenge ahead. By choosing to cultivate resilience and gratitude, you create a personal foundation that supports growth, optimism, and peace, regardless of what life delivers. The rewards of embracing resilience and gratitude unfold throughout every aspect of your life, touching your outlook, relationships, and sense of personal power. With these skills, disappointments lose much of their sting, anxieties settle, and even the hardest days cease to feel overwhelming or permanent. You cultivate the ability to adapt, adjust, and keep moving forward. Resilience means you stop seeing failures as final or flaws as defining. Instead, you view setbacks as stepping stones toward wisdom and strength. And when gratitude becomes a daily habit, it fills small moments with meaning and lets you appreciate the good while learning from challenge. You become someone who finds light even on gray days and who fosters more authentic connections, because your courage and optimism inspire those around you. Every effort now feels like an investment in a future self, who is stronger, braver, and more prepared for whatever life holds. To make resilience and gratitude real in your daily life, start by setting aside just 5 minutes at the end of each day for reflection. Ask yourself not only what was difficult, but what you managed to handle or how you grew because of a challenge. Write down one thing that tested you and what you learned by facing it. This act of noticing and recording your own perseverance forms a record that you can return to whenever you doubt your capacity to cope. Next, add gratitude to the ritual. Identify 3 things, however minor, that offered comfort or beauty in your day: a message from a friend, a quiet walk, or simply the warmth of a cup of tea. These repeated acknowledgments train your focus to seek out positivity where you might otherwise see only problems. If a disagreement with a friend or family member leaves you upset, resilience encourages you to process your feelings, communicate openly, and look for resolution rather than withdraw into resentment. Follow up with gratitude for the opportunity to grow in understanding or for the lessons learned about patience and respect. In the workplace, resilience means bouncing back after a project doesn't go as planned. Rather than dwell on the setback, reflect on what worked, what didn't, and what you might do differently in the future. Expressing gratitude for cooperative colleagues or a supportive mentor also helps reset your mindset and strengthens workplace bonds. In your studies, challenges become learning milestones. Resilience helps you see mistakes as opportunities to learn new strategies or deepen your knowledge, and gratitude keeps you appreciative of every piece of progress, however humble. Change and improvement, no matter how significant, are truly made up of thousands of small, consistent steps. Remember, being resilient and grateful does not erase hardship, but it empowers you to meet those moments with clarity and courage. Even if obstacles seem daunting at first, reflecting consistently will reveal just how much you have already grown. Every act of persistence makes resilience stronger, and every word or thought of appreciation feeds the hope that keeps you striving. This journey is within everyone's reach. All it takes is the willingness to begin and the patience to let progress build, moment by moment and day by day. As you look to the next chapter, you'll discover the transformative value of perspective. How shifting your viewpoint changes the entire landscape of your experience and leads to greater understanding and peace. If you found value here, remember to subscribe to Awaken Vision and give this video a like. We invite you to share your reflections or suggestions in the comments to help us grow this positive and supportive community together. Chapter 4. Have you ever noticed how 2 people can look at the same situation and come away with completely different feelings and conclusions? One might see a rainy day as an inconvenience that ruins their plans, while another views it as a cozy invitation to slow down and reflect. Your perspective is the lens through which you experience every moment, shaping your emotional responses, your decisions, and even your happiness. Yet, most people walk through life rarely questioning their own point of view, unaware of how it colors the world around them. When you only see through one lens, you can end up trapped in patterns of frustration, disappointment, or stress, missing opportunities for understanding, peace, and growth that are closer than you think. The challenge of perspective is that it becomes invisible the longer you wear it. It's easy to mistake your current thoughts and feelings as the truth, even when another interpretation might serve you far better. This is especially true in times of conflict, change, or uncertainty, when the mind rushes to defend old beliefs or brace for the worst. For example, imagine you receive constructive criticism at work. Your default perspective might tell you that you failed or aren't good enough, triggering anxiety or defensiveness. But in that same moment, someone else could interpret the feedback as a chance to learn and improve, feeling grateful for the guidance instead of threatened by it. The real difference lies not in the facts, but in the story each person tells themselves. Recognizing that perspective is not fixed but flexible is the first step to regaining control over how you feel about what happens to you. Most of us have been stuck inside one interpretation during difficult moments without realizing options exist. Think of the last time you felt rejected, underappreciated, or misunderstood. Maybe a friend forgot your birthday, or a colleague didn't acknowledge your help on a project. It's easy to jump to conclusions. They don't care, or my efforts aren't valued. These automatic stories, repeated over time, can erode your confidence and strain your relationships, causing unnecessary resentment or sadness. But what if the friend was overwhelmed with stress, or the coworker genuinely forgot in a moment of distraction? Without questioning your perspective, you end up suffering from assumptions rather than reality. Understanding the role of perspective is crucial because it allows you to step back from automatic thoughts and consider new, more empowering ways to view each situation. The freedom to shift your interpretation opens doors to compassion, creativity, and genuine peace, regardless of setbacks or misunderstandings. When you are able to recognize that your first response is only one possibility, you become far less trapped by disappointment and infinitely more open to growth. In a world that often feels unpredictable and challenging, mastering the art of perspective becomes the secret ingredient that transforms obstacles into learning opportunities and everyday moments into sources of deeper connection and meaning. The key to harnessing the power of perspective lies in consciously learning to step back and examine your thoughts before letting them shape your emotions or actions. Instead of automatically agreeing with your initial interpretation, try viewing situations from several angles. This act of intentional reflection widens the mental pathways available to you, making space for new insights, healthier reactions, and more constructive behaviors. Psychologists call this approach cognitive flexibility. People who practice cognitive flexibility can adapt their thinking to different circumstances and are less likely to be overwhelmed by negative emotions or rigid viewpoints. Scientific studies show that cultivating the ability to see the bigger picture helps reduce stress, enhances problem solving, and improves well-being over time. One practical way to build this skill is by asking yourself simple, grounding questions whenever you notice strong reactions arising. For example, if you feel slighted by a friend's words or hurt by a coworker's feedback, pause and ask, what else might be happening here? Is there another way to understand their actions? How would someone I trust see the situation? These questions disrupt the automatic cycle of negative interpretations and create mental room for curiosity, understanding, or even empathy. Practicing this repeatedly rewires the brain to pause instead of rush to judgment, which gradually weakens old habits of defensiveness or pessimism. Over time, you find yourself better able to handle criticism, navigate misunderstandings, and see setbacks as part of a much larger process. The reason this works is rooted in both logic and biology. Our brains are designed to detect threats, so the first reaction to challenges is usually protective, often negative or defensive by default. However, you can train yourself to bypass knee-jerk interpretations by inviting in alternate perspectives, which calms emotional responses and helps you see beyond the immediate discomfort. Research from neuroscience and positive psychology confirms that when people practice perspective-taking exercises, they experience less emotional reactivity and greater satisfaction in daily life. This growth-minded approach isn't about denying how you feel, but about becoming open to possibilities you might miss if locked into a single story about events. What makes this solution so beneficial is that it returns true power to your own mind. You are no longer a passive observer of life or controlled by every negative thought or feeling. You actively participate in shaping your experience, which creates lasting resilience and satisfaction. Instead of fearing unexpected changes or becoming trapped by self-doubt, your new habit is to wonder, what can I learn? What opportunity might this bring? Conflicts become chances for understanding rather than sources of ongoing resentment. Difficult days become part of your overall growth, not end points that define your self-worth or outlook. Ultimately, seeing multiple sides doesn't mean losing your values or being indecisive. It means equipping yourself with a resourceful mindset that's ready for whatever life brings your way. Each new interpretation you try on is a tool you add to your collection for meeting challenges, solving problems, and finding harmony with the people around you. Through the practice of shifting perspective, you invite wisdom, compassion, and possibility to shape your days and build a sense of peace that lasts far longer than any fleeting setback. Adopting the habit of actively shifting your perspective brings about profound and lasting change in your overall sense of well-being. As you strengthen this ability, everyday frustrations shrink and solutions take their place. Challenges that once left you feeling trapped or angry now become gateways to greater understanding and personal growth. This new mindset eases tension in relationships, transforms stress at work into learning experiences, and brings an element of clarity to any confusion or misunderstanding. Over time, you become known as someone who navigates adversity with calm and creativity, rather than defensiveness or despair. The world feels less threatening and more full of possibilities because you are no longer limited by single, narrow interpretations. You experience richer social connections, less inner conflict, and a deeper sense of peace, even in times of uncertainty. Putting the power of perspective into motion is easier with simple, repeatable steps. Every time you notice yourself reacting strongly, take a moment to label your current perception. This is the story I am telling myself right now. Next, ask yourself, is there another angle here? Practice imagining at least one additional explanation, especially when your instinct is to feel criticized, ignored, or rejected. If you struggle to see things differently, consider how a wise mentor or a close friend might interpret the same event. Over time, this pause and question technique becomes second nature, nudging your mind out of well-worn grooves of negativity or self-blame. You can also set reminders to reflect on perspective at set points in your day, perhaps after meetings, difficult conversations, or when facing unexpected obstacles. Use journaling as a practical tool to review moments when you shifted perspective, noting what new insights or positive feelings followed. This creates a feedback loop that reinforces your growth and reminds you of the power you hold to shape your own experience. To see this at work, imagine being in the midst of a group project where your ideas are dismissed. Instead of withdrawing or blaming others, take a breath. Then remind yourself that differing views are normal and may lead to better results. You might approach teammates later to share your perspective calmly or express interest in their thinking, building bridges instead of walls. In a relationship, when a partner seems distant, use your new skill to pause and consider stressors they might be facing, instead of jumping to conclusions about their feelings for you. At school, if a teacher's critique is hard to hear, remind yourself this is one viewpoint aimed at helping you improve, not a final judgment on your abilities. Each practice turns potential conflicts into moments of growth, empathy, and self-mastery. No matter how attached you are to your current habits of thinking, change is possible in small, steady steps. Each time you choose curiosity over assumption and openness over rigidity, you reinforce your confidence and emotional wisdom. Progress may feel gradual, but every mindful shift leaves an imprint, making every future challenge a little easier to navigate. Celebrate small victories. Each moment of clarity or patience is proof that your efforts matter. Looking ahead, the next chapter will guide you through the art of mastering emotional energy shifts, showing you how to navigate strong feelings with agency and courage. If this insight into perspective resonated with you, now is the perfect time to subscribe to Awaken Vision, like this video, and share your experiences or advice in the comments. Your reflections make this journey richer for the entire community, and every voice matters as we continue growing together. Chapter 5. Have you ever been caught in a storm of emotions that seem to control your every response? One moment you might feel confident and upbeat, and the next, a harsh word or an unexpected problem sends you spiraling into worry, anger, or self-doubt. Sometimes you may wake up in a positive frame of mind, only to have anxiety or irritability creep in, suddenly coloring your actions and words for the rest of the day. Emotions are like invisible currents, pulling you along, swelling, and dropping with little warning. The trap for many isn't merely experiencing these strong feelings. It's feeling helpless to navigate or redirect them when they threaten to overpower your decisions, focus, or sense of peace. Understanding this challenge is crucial because your emotional energy impacts nearly every area of your life. It affects the quality of your work, the tone of your relationships, and even your long-term well-being. If emotional swings remain unchecked, they can lead to reactive choices you later regret or set in motion patterns of self-sabotage and exhaustion. Harboring frustration, sadness, or anxiety until they build up and spill over can weaken motivation and blur your sense of purpose. Over time, unaddressed emotions have a way of seeping into your body as tension and fatigue and settling into your mind as discouragement or confusion. That's why learning to notice, nurture, and deliberately shift your emotional state isn't just a luxury. It's a key skill for building sustainable happiness, productivity, and inner strength. Imagine, for example, arriving at work hopeful for the day, when suddenly a colleague criticizes your suggestion in a meeting. A wave of embarrassment or defensiveness rises up and lingers beyond the meeting, influencing how you talk to others, approach tasks, or even interpret the rest of your day. Or think about a time when a small setback early in your morning, a missed bus, a curt email, or a forgotten deadline, seemed to poison your whole perspective. That single flash of frustration or disappointment grows, infecting your mood and interactions in ways that feel out of your control. Even happy or excited energy, if not centered, can scatter your focus or leave you drained if you don't know how to channel it wisely. These moments are universal, weaving in and out of every story. It's easy to imagine other people handling emotions effortlessly, but the truth is everyone faces internal battles, no matter how unflappable they may appear. The real difference is how some people develop the ability to acknowledge their emotional energy, listen to the message behind it, and then skillfully shift their state, rather than being jerked around by every wave of feeling. Imagine the power in recognizing when a negative mood is about to hijack your day, and being able to pause, reflect, and purposefully choose a different direction. It's freeing to know that, while emotions are natural and unpredictable, the way you respond and the emotional energy you cultivate is mostly within your control, patiently waiting for you to tap its full potential. Mastering emotional energy shifts begins with developing emotional awareness, the practice of noticing and naming your feelings as soon as they arise. When you slow down and label what you are experiencing, you reduce the hold that intense emotions have over your mind and body. Neuroscientists have found that simply identifying an emotion, saying to yourself, "I am feeling anxious," or "I notice anger rising," activates different neural pathways in the brain, making it easier to regulate your response. This small acknowledgement allows you to separate yourself from your emotions rather than being swept away by them. Instead of thinking, "I am anger," you realize, "I am experiencing anger," which offers space to decide your next move with clarity. The next step in this solution is to accept your emotions without judging them as good or bad. Society sometimes teaches us to ignore or suppress certain feelings, but this only causes those emotions to gather strength beneath the surface. By allowing yourself to fully feel and accept the emotion as part of the human experience, you prevent it from controlling you. Mindfulness research confirms that those who approach their emotions with curiosity and acceptance, rather than criticism or avoidance, are far better at moving through them efficiently. For example, taking a moment to pause and focus on your breath when you start to feel tense can signal to your nervous system that you are safe, which in turn helps the heightened emotion begin to settle. Once you acknowledge and accept the feeling, you can begin to intentionally shift your energy. This involves choosing activities or mental habits that reliably help you transition from a state of agitation, sadness, or depletion into a more grounded or uplifted state. This could mean taking a brisk walk to burn off frustration, listening to music that calms or inspires you, practicing deep breathing, or speaking kindly to yourself when your mind starts cycling through negativity. Research in positive psychology and behavioral health shows that engaging in small, positive actions can trigger the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which elevate mood and boost resilience. These shifts don't have to be dramatic. Sometimes simply changing your posture, opening a window, or writing about your feelings can spark a new sense of control and openness. Cultivating these habits works because emotions are meant to move. They are energy in motion. When you listen to them with compassion, express them safely, and guide your energy with gentle intention, your feelings lose their destructive power and become a source of useful information. You gain the confidence that, no matter what arises, you have the skills not only to manage your state, but also to transform uncomfortable energy into insight, motivation, or calm. Over time, this self-awareness leads to fewer emotional outbursts, less reactivity, and a steadier baseline of well-being, even on stressful days. What makes this approach so beneficial is its lasting impact on your confidence and relationships. When you show yourself that you can ride the waves of emotion without losing control, your self-respect deepens, and others sense your clarity and steadiness. Instead of responding out of habit, you learn to respond with purpose, unlocking a level of peace and presence that strengthens all areas of your life. Embracing the skill of shifting your emotional energy benefits every part of your life, leaving you less at the mercy of mood swings and more firmly rooted in your personal power. You begin to notice that difficult days no longer spiral out of control, and that even strong emotions lose their power to disrupt your progress. As you practice self-awareness, acceptance, and gentle redirection, you replace reactivity with response and watch your confidence deepen and your relationships grow more harmonious. People may start to see you as someone who remains calm under pressure and who brings thoughtfulness to emotional conversations. At work or in school, this leads to clearer communication and a willingness to navigate challenges without becoming overwhelmed. Over time, energy that was once spent wrestling with your emotions can be spent on creativity, meaningful connection, and the pursuit of your true goals. Bringing this habit into your daily routine is both simple and deeply rewarding. Start by checking in with yourself at natural pauses throughout the day, upon waking, before a meeting, after a commute, or at bedtime. Ask, what am I feeling right now? Where do I notice this emotion in my body? By naming it with honesty and without judgment, you lay the foundation for stability and self-mastery. Next, pause for one full breath and offer yourself acceptance, as if speaking to a friend. It's okay to feel this. I will listen, not judge. Then choose a small, healthy action or perspective shift, even if it's only standing up, opening a window, walking for a few minutes, or putting on music that matches the energy you wish to invite. These tiny choices will help you switch gears gently rather than force major changes on the spot. Imagine a moment when tension is building at home. A minor disagreement threatens to turn into a heated argument. Instead of reacting instantly, you recognize the tightness in your shoulders and the rush of irritation. You pause, inhale deeply, and acknowledge your own frustration before calmly suggesting a break or bringing humor into the conversation. This micro-shift diffuses the situation and strengthens your connection. Similarly, in a demanding academic situation, anxiety about an exam could send your mind racing with self-doubt. Noticing the nervousness, you might ground yourself by taking 3 slow breaths, reaffirming that worry is normal, then shifting your focus to a small piece of revision or a supportive conversation with a classmate. Small but steady, each act proves you can take charge of your own state. The beauty of this process is its achievability. You don't become an expert in mastering emotions overnight. The path is built on steady reflection, gentle corrections, and an openness to learn from every stumble. Instead of fearing setbacks, you meet them as teachers, learning how to adjust your emotional sails in any weather. By appreciating each step of progress, you build deeper respect for your strength, and soon these practices become a trusted part of how you move through life. Looking forward, The next chapter will offer tools for sustaining your newfound light and emotional balance, ensuring the growth and joy you work so hard to achieve can last, even when life is unpredictable. If this chapter resonated with you, subscribe to Awaken Vision, give this video a like, and share your reflections or ideas for growth in the comments. Your insights light the path for others and help build an encouraging, thriving community devoted to real personal transformation. Chapter 6. You may have experienced moments when you feel unstoppable, filled with clarity and purpose, only for those feelings to slowly fade as routine and setbacks settle in. It's common to start a self-development journey with a burst of motivation, trying new habits, embracing fresh perspectives, and sensing tangible progress. Yet, life's demands often crowd out that initial spark. Old patterns reappear, obstacles seem larger, and your growth feels like it's slipping from your grasp. Maybe you promised yourself you would keep up daily reflection, gratitude, or mindfulness, but days became busy, and those intentions grew distant. Soon, your sense of balance and achievement weakens, replaced by frustration or self-doubt. Instead of embracing growth, you might worry you are back where you started, wondering why it's so hard to sustain positive change. Understanding this challenge is crucial, because genuine transformation doesn't occur in big flashes of inspiration. It is nurtured by the gentle, ongoing light you provide each day. The truth is, anyone can make changes for a short period, especially when hope is high and results are new. The real mastery is in sustaining that inner light, finding ways to keep fueling your purpose and growth, no matter how busy, tired, or distracted life becomes. When you don't attend to the continuous care of your mindset and practices, even the strongest resolve can flicker and fade. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's simply how motivation, energy, and habits naturally ebb and flow. The challenge is not losing sight of your path when your environment changes, your emotions dip, or setbacks appear. If you believe the only way to succeed is by maintaining perfect, uninterrupted progress, then giving up at the first sign of difficulty can seem like your only option. This universal struggle can be seen everywhere, from athletes who return to old routines after a season ends, to students passionate at the start of term but exhausted by finals, or even someone who feels on track in their relationships or mental health, only to lose momentum after a stressful week. We all know the disappointment of feeling that our best efforts didn't last, and the vulnerability that comes when you admit, privately or aloud, that you've let yourself down. This gap between intent and consistency can quietly erode trust in your ability to change, feeding the idea that maybe you aren't meant to grow or sustain happiness. But sustaining change is less about willpower and more about gentle commitment, realistic expectations, and regularly rekindling your own flame. By learning how to maintain your progress with compassion and flexibility, you reclaim agency over your growth. Instead of seeing temporary setbacks as signs to quit, you can view them as normal pauses or gentle reminders to return to your values. The most successful journeys are paved not by perfection, but by the steady commitment to pick yourself up again and again, reigniting your light as many times as you need. With patience and understanding, the cycle of new beginnings transforms from a source of shame into the rhythmic heartbeat of real personal growth. The solution to sustaining growth lies in fostering daily habits that gently remind you of your intentions and values, even when life grows busy or overwhelming. The first step is establishing simple, meaningful routines, small anchors in your day that bring you back to your goals without requiring major effort or sacrifice. Science shows that habits are more likely to stick when they fit naturally into your lifestyle, so the key is to start with changes that are realistic and rewarding. For example, if your goal is to practice gratitude, instead of demanding a half hour for journaling, commit to noting one thing you appreciate each morning, or even whispering thanks for a small comfort. Incremental changes accumulate much more powerfully than grand gestures that quickly fade. Another important aspect is creating visual or environmental reminders of your purpose. Setting an intention at the start of the day, writing a note to yourself, or using phone alerts can help recenter your focus when distractions take over. These reminders act as gentle nudges to prioritize your values. Psychologists refer to this as cue-based habit formation. And research shows that linking a new habit to an established routine, like reviewing your goals while you have your morning coffee, strengthens the likelihood you'll return to that habit, regardless of mood or circumstance. Accountability also plays a vital role in sustaining growth. Sharing your intentions with a supportive friend, family member, or even an online community increases both your sense of belonging and your follow-through. Positive social influence acts as reinforcement, helping you to restart if you stumble or celebrate small milestones along the way. Studies indicate that shared goals can boost consistency by making your journey feel less isolated and reminding you that everyone faces challenges, keeping new habits alive. Another central part of the solution is proactive adaptation when you encounter obstacles. When you notice routines slipping, use curiosity rather than criticism to understand what changed. Perhaps added responsibilities, emotional stress, or fatigue made your habits feel harder. Approach these situations flexibly. Adjust your expectations, simplify your practices, or revisit your reasons for personal growth. This constant review is what keeps your why alive and your path sustainable. The benefit here is that you stop viewing lapses as failures and instead see them as signs that your approach needs tweaking, a powerful mindset shift that makes growth feel like a living, dynamic process. The true value of these strategies lies in their cumulative impact on your trust in yourself. As you string together days and weeks of practice, knowing some will be imperfect, you restore a quiet faith in your ability to change. You see growth as something organic, which ebbs and flows but never entirely disappears. The natural ups and downs of motivation are no longer something to dread. With every small return to your habits, you confirm that falling off track is just part of the process, not its end. These gentle but persistent routines make self-development less intimidating, more joyful, and sustainable for life. That is why learning to sustain the light of your growth, by anchoring it to flexible routines, wise reminders, compassion, and shared accountability, is so much more powerful than pushing yourself with rigid discipline. It's about allowing your vision for a better self to adapt and expand without pressure or judgment, keeping the flame alive no matter what winds may come. Embracing the art of sustaining your light for growth gently transforms your journey from a sprint into a steady, rewarding marathon. The most compelling outcome is an enduring sense of self-trust. You see yourself keep returning to your values, even as life shifts around you. When you anchor positive routines with patience and flexibility, setbacks shrink in importance, and you learn to celebrate consistency over perfection. Progress no longer feels fragile, relying solely on bursts of excitement, but becomes woven into your identity, bringing stability and confidence across all areas of life. This shift creates a foundation where optimism and resilience grow side by side, and each small success reminds you that real change is possible with the right approach. Your days begin to reflect your intentions, and you experience pride not just in beginnings, but in your ability to nurture those beginnings into lifelong habits and strengths. To bring these benefits into daily reality, break down your sustainable growth practices into small, doable actions. Start each morning with a 2-minute check-in. A simple question like, what will help me stay true to my values today? Or, what would it look like to bring light into this day? This moment of intention sets the tone without overwhelming you. Next, create gentle environmental reminders like a favorite quote on your bathroom mirror or a recurring calendar notification that encourages a moment of reflection or gratitude. Practice linking new routines with existing ones. For example, if you typically drink tea in the evening, use that ritual as a prompt to review your progress, or set a gentle intention for the next day. Consistency becomes more attainable when you anticipate moments when you may drift away from your habits. A busy week at work, unexpected stress, or changes in your personal life might prompt old patterns to return. When you notice yourself slipping, respond with kindness rather than criticism. Pause, acknowledge the change, and simply pick up where you left off. This forgiving attitude is essential for lasting change, making it much easier to get back on course after a lapse. Regular check-ins, perhaps each week or at the end of each month, help you review what's working, where changes may be needed, and importantly, celebrate all the moments you returned to your path. This focus on ongoing return rather than flawless adherence lets you discover your own rhythm for success. There are examples everywhere of how such practices deepen growth. In personal development, someone who builds a habit of evening gratitude finds their outlook gradually shifting, with frustration and anxiety replaced by contentment and hope. Within relationships, those who intentionally practice patience and honest communication during stressful periods see their bonds deepen. Small efforts renewed after mistakes, rather than abandoned. At work, steady, bite-sized reflections on improvement lead not only to productivity, but to sustainable satisfaction even in demanding seasons. In studies, students who review their progress each day, adapt routines as needed, and celebrate small wins maintain motivation through tough semesters, outlasting the burnout that sweeps up those chasing only fast results. Let yourself be inspired by these examples, but remember, lasting growth is for everyone, not just a select few. You don't need unbreakable resolve or a perfect record. Instead, it's about commitment, patient adaptation, and the courage to begin again each day. The power you've nurtured in your journey so far comes not from monumental change, but from steady, humble devotion to improving, even when it feels tough. With this spirit, every challenge you meet turns into a spark to rekindle your light, and every effort, no matter how small, enriches the foundation on which transformation is built. Reflection invites appreciation for how far you've come, while flexible practices ensure your growth never depends on yesterday's enthusiasm alone. Let small steps and gentle consistency become your trusted companions, and let hope shape every chapter of your ongoing story. In these steady, thoughtful ways, personal growth becomes not just a series of intense beginnings, but a lifelong, empowering journey. Whatever your past attempts or setbacks, remember this truth. The light you nurture patiently, with compassion and small daily promises, is the light that will see you through. As you reach the conclusion of this self-guided journey, take a moment to acknowledge the growth you've cultivated through each chapter. By igniting your inner flame, rewiring your thoughts for positivity, building resilience and gratitude, harnessing the power of perspective, mastering emotional energy shifts, and learning to sustain your light, you have assembled a toolkit for lasting inner wellness. Real and lasting transformation happens through consistent, gentle commitment, returning to your values even in the face of setbacks. Thank you for joining us and investing this time in yourself and your personal growth. If this journey inspired or helped you in any way, please like this video, share your thoughts or personal breakthroughs in the comments, and subscribe to Awaken Vision for more guidance and motivation on your path to a brighter, more resilient life.